There are more twins today than ever. This is because the later you decide to give birth, the higher your chances to get twins. And people today tend to create families later than ever before. There are more living things on and inside your body than there are people on Earth, and not just twice or 3 times so. The numbers are simply mind-blowing. Speaking of which, bacteria make up from 2 to 9 pounds of your body weight. It's hard to imagine how many of them there are in your body. If you have a kid, be prepared for question bombardment. An average 4-year-old asks something over 400 times per day. There's a chili pepper you can't eat if you want to stay alive. It's never used in cooking, though. It was designed as a painkiller. Scientists believe Leonardo da Vinci could write with one hand and draw pictures with the other at the same time. Talk about multitasking. Your outer skin gets totally replaced each month. Overall, an average human sheds about 40 pounds of skin throughout their life. There's a room in Microsoft's headquarters in Washington that holds a world record for being the quietest room in the world. Standing inside it, you can hear your heart beating. In August 2010, Beijing witnessed the longest traffic jam ever. It lasted 10 days and was 62 miles long. The metric system is the most widely accepted system of measurement in the world. Only 3 countries still use the imperial units: Liberia, Myanmar, and the US. John D. Rockefeller still holds the record as the richest man in the world. His net worth, adjusted for inflation, is 10 times more than that of Bill Gates. Starfish can not only regenerate their lost limbs, but even a limb can regenerate the whole starfish. Well, that's cool. Thanks to the Montreal Protocol signed in 1987, scientists believe the Earth's ozone layer will fully restore itself within a half-century. Yahoo! In 2011, Forbes decided to estimate the net worth of Scrooge McDuck.
Hours in a day, there are more than 24 time zones on the globe. Some of them are just 45 or even 30 minutes apart from their closest neighbors. Jeep is actually an abbreviation. Originally, it was called a GP, or a general-purpose vehicle. The first Native American to greet the Pilgrims, whose name was Samizet, could speak English even before he met them. Sweden is the largest island country in the world. It has over 221,800 islands, only about 1,000 of which are inhabited. A jellyfish melts in the sun because it's 95% water. Talk about cucumbers. In 2012, twin girls Amy and Katie were born 87 days apart. They're now in the Guinness World Records for the longest gap between the birth of twins. All pandas in the World Zoo belong to China. If you see a giant panda at a zoo, you can be sure it's just a guess there. If you were to watch every video on YouTube, you'd have to spend 1,000 years on that, and then about 1,000 times more because of all the new videos that would appear by then. A mouse's bones are so flexible it can fit into a ballpoint pen-sized hole. If you cage one, make sure the grid is small enough. The most popular language in the world is not English, and by far, the title belongs to Mandarin Chinese, with over 1 billion speakers around the globe. The record for the longest-lasting hiccups belongs to a man named Charles Osborne. He had this condition for 69 years straight. Human fingers are extremely sensitive as an evolutionary perk. If your fingertips were the size of Earth, you'd feel the difference between a 1-story house and a car. China is home to the most bicycles in the world.
High heels were originally menswear. In ancient Egypt, butchers wore them to avoid blood on the floor. Dogs don't see the world in shades of gray. In fact, they can see colors, just fewer of them than people. The name of the man who invented cotton candy was William Morrison. He was a dentist. There's a thunderstorm in Venezuela that occurs every year and lasts for about 140 to 160 nights. It even has a name, Catatumbo. Michelangelo couldn't stand painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling so much that he even wrote a poem about it. Ever got chills from listening to your favorite track? It's because your brain reacts to it by releasing dopamine, the happiness hormone. Figures? You probably know that tomatoes are technically berries, right? Well, bananas, peppers, and eggplants are too. John Cage, an avant-garde composer, wrote the longest musical piece in history. It's supposed to be played as slowly as possible, and it's estimated to take 639 years to play to the end. Black belt in martial arts, such as karate, translates from Japanese as first step. That's because achieving the black belt is just literally the first stage of mastering the art, with much more to come yet. Charlie Chaplin once entered a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest and lost it. The same happened with Dolly Parton almost 100 years later in 2012. Mark Zuckerberg is red and green colorblind. That's why he designed Facebook in shades of blue. That's the color he can see best. Horseshoe crabs have a total of 10 eyes, 2 of which are located right on its hard shell. Well, what did you expect from a creature that's called a living fossil?